All right, here we go again. 50th episode of Momentum Podcast. Guys, I need some applause for that. It's a big deal. Half a century. Although Ashish Ranjan podcast is nearly reaching 1.5 century, close to 140 episodes in total of all the podcasts that I have made, starting from probably from 2020. But 50th episode, I wanted to do a solo one for this one. And there are a lot of fantastic questions that I've gotten over last couple of weeks. One by one we can discuss that, but also I wanted to give you kind of a personal update of what's going on in my life as well. Now you know how it goes. I never make clickbaits and all, so I don't do like I bought a new car my house tour and all that. I don't do it. Most of the time I keep it pretty much professional. But in podcast, I think I can discuss few of the things just to let you know who I am and what's going on. There should be a connection. What I see all the time is that as people start getting bigger and bigger, and if they're in a field in which they are serving people, then they also start losing that connection. For example, this happens a lot for writers, or you can also think about comedians. So they are no longer going to be able to relate to their audience, who they are making it all for. Maybe it happens to all these movie producers and directors as well. Like when they were struggling, they had good stories and they made it in a way that it actually happened. And then all of a sudden, they are now living in a mansion and they forgot about what really goes on. And I never want that to happen, and that's probably the reason that I still go through all the comments. I talk to you every now and then. But yeah, I think that on a bigger scale, it should happen on Momentum Podcast as well. And let's see where it goes. For people in a hurry, these are the topics that we have discussed, because at this particular time of recording, I also do not know what are the things that I'm going to discuss. But if you are in too much hurry, it completely depends on you. So what's going on in my life currently? Let's discuss that one by one. It has been over 2 years now since I left Indian Space Research Organization, which is crazy, right? 2020 to 2021, January, and January 2021 to 2022. It's officially more than 2 years. And I worked over there only for 16 months. And I worked in Department of Atomic Energy, if you include the training period as well, for 14 months. So it's 2.5 years of me working as an engineer, and it's almost 2.5 years of me working as an individual. So we have still not surpassed that number, but we are soon gonna, and I'm sure that you're gonna be over there with me to experience that with me. Okay, so it's been so long, over 2 years living independently. And initially it was difficult. Definitely there were times where I was just wondering whether I'll be able to pay my rent or not. So initially when I moved to Bangalore after leaving ISRO, I had this house which costed me 12,500 rupees. It was a 1 BHK. I needed at least 1 BHK because one is going to be converted into a studio. And that was a small room. If you can see the earliest of videos, that was a first proper studio that is having lights and all, and it is having backlight, it is having a proper camera, proper setup. These mics also I bought for the first time at that time only. So I had saved close to 2 lakh rupees from ISRO and invested it all in these mics and lights and having a proper setup. Costed me a lot. And I'm happy that I made that investment, because those are the things that are still going on with me. Like I did zero investment after that. These are pretty robust, man, because I bought the premium quality things. All of the proper studio standard things, I bought them and paid me well. If I would have bought some second class stuff, then it would have been bad for me over time. But anyways, so 2 lakhs that I saved, more than 1.5 lakh went in all of these things. And then there were a lot of times when I was just wondering that whether I'll be able to pay the rent, or if I got a big sponsorship deal, something would pay me somewhere close to 20,000. Then I would say, okay, 1 month rent is done. Then I get another 20,000. Okay, next month is also done. It was difficult, man. It was not easy. And also on top of that, COVID thing happened. So it was a whole disaster because my seminars were going pretty good. And my whole idea was that, okay, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to do seminars. So people are going to buy tickets for that. I'm going to be over there. YouTube channel is great. So I'm going to record it, put it on YouTube. More people get joining my next seminar. Good model. That's what I said to myself. And then all the models pretty good. But like Mike Tyson said once, that I'm actually having it right left to me. So I'm just going to read it out. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So yeah, you have a plan until you get punched. And I got punched just like you got punched. Everybody got punched in 2020. So we all had to deal with it. So it took me time to adjust, man. Because if you don't know, in the first February, March, I had even sold tickets in three of my seminars. Bangalore gone, Mumbai was going on, and Hyderabad. Also, there were like 5 to 6 tickets sold because that was planned for later. But Bangalore was all done for 2 seminars. One for career guidance and the second one for personality development. That was so well fixed. It's just good thing that I did not pay for the venue till that point. But then the whole situation, lockdown happened. And then I had to just refund the whole money. So it took me time from February to somewhere close to July to understand that I can do this online. Because everything was moving online. And now you would think that, yeah, why wouldn't you do online? But it was not something that I could think of at that time. You would have done a better job, but it was not me. So I thought that personality development, how can I do it online? It would be difficult. Now that I've done for 12 different batches for over a year or so, now I understand that, yeah, it can be done. But still, it would be better to have people live. It is always better to have people live, but if only this whole disaster was not with us. But now things are getting good. I see work from home is closing. I mean, people are starting to go to office again. Schools are opening. Colleges have opened. That's a big one, man. People missing college life. It's the worst disaster that can happen to you. You're super what you call it, cursed and all if you cannot experience college life. And that happened to a lot of people. Especially people who were from private college and got into IITs for MTech, they never got to see that. So people in MTech also used to enjoy so much in their fests and all. If they got into IIT, it's a whole different city inside IIT. And people who got into MTech and got out with a degree without ever stepping a foot into college for more than a week or so. It's kind of sad. But now things are opening up. Today only I saw that probably IITs have their convocation today itself, because a lot of my students who follow me on different platforms or maybe friends with me on Facebook, I saw that Kharagpur had its convocation, Kanpur had its convocation, IIT Guwahati had its convocation. So they're getting the degree. Maybe they had a couple of months. Okay, anyways, backtracking. So all these happened and I started this whole seminar thing, and then overall later channel also grew. You know, when I left ISRO, I used to think that I have a big YouTube channel. I used to think, but it was really not a good YouTube channel, man. I mean, big YouTube channel. It was good YouTube channel. Really not that good, but because the quality production was jack shit. But the number of following, I left ISRO when I had a following of 70,000, I think so, which is a terrible thing to do. 70,000 subscribers, it's not going to give you anything. So if you want to know like how much it used to pay me back then, it was about to pay me somewhere close to $15,000. $200. Yeah, that's what I remember. $200 was the maximum that I got in somewhere close to March month. And that too because a lot of people were online. And now a lot of every YouTuber got a spike in their views when COVID happened, because now everyone is stuck with their cell phone. So $200 is what, like 15,000 rupees, close to that. So it's a terrible amount. Like I said, 12,000 was the rent. So it's a terrible time to have a YouTube channel without a job. So that was a problematic scenario. But then from September, close to September and all, sponsors started to roll in. And trust me, man, your boy Torq is smart when it comes to negotiations, because I bent a lot of situation for them to pay me a lot. And I know that a lot of people would not be able to do it with subscriber count less than 1 lakh, but I made them do it. A lot of them sponsored because I'm good in negotiations, man. You get me on a call, it will be difficult to deny. So that's how it went. And then after that, things were pretty simple. A big problem happened in September 2020, about which I'm not going to talk because it's very personal. So that was a bigger disaster than COVID for me. But anyways, so these are the things that happened. Those were the bloody days. But then close to 2021, January and all, it kind of stabilized. And then I even bought a better, rented a better place. That was also 1 BHK, but it costed more because it was in a better location and also it costed 20,000 per month. And then I left that also recently, even a better place. So just gonna keep on growing, man, just like you should. So what is the current scenario? Yeah, so currently there are a couple of things that I'm doing. Number one, taking art of speaking to the next level. Number two, finalizing my book. So this is, I think, the 7th or the 8th time that I'm writing the same book or re-editing, re-going through it. But properly, it is the 5th draft that I'm calling. I'm writing it for the, not writing, like editing, proofreading, properly editing, reading. I don't know what it's called. Doing that. I think by the end of this year, it will be finalized. I think finally we have to look for a good publishing house and all. So we'll see about that. But it's a good one. It's not a self-help, because now every YouTuber is starting a new self-help book, which is obviously going to sell because they have an audience and that's what they do. They help people through their gyan. So they're going to sell some books as well. But that's not what I'm into. I've never read any self-help book as well. So that's the last thing that I want to do. Although a lot of people have told me that Ashish, you should write a self-help book. It will be helpful. Like, okay, I'll think about it later. But that's a story. It's a good one. You're going to love it. You're going to have fun as well. It's funny. It's tense. It's kind of depressing sometimes. You're going to enjoy it. So that's the second thing that I'm doing. And next, I'm looking for some higher education in the field of aerospace engineering. I'll see if I get a good program. I'll go for it. So I'm in place of my life where I do not have to do stuff just because I have to do stuff. I just can do it if I want to. And I was not kidding when I said that I still love rocket science. So I want to get some education. Meanwhile, I study on my own. If you have ever gone through my Spacecast podcast, you'll understand that this dude really spends hours and hours and sometimes days studying about this shit, even if he does not have to, because I love it. So maybe I'll get some education. The thing is that I don't really believe in education that much. I think that most of the things can be learned on your own. And I'm in a position where I do not need certification. So guys, please don't drop out of your college because you think that, education does not mean anything, man. I should drop out. You need a degree to get your jobs and all. I would have no jobs if I did not had graduation. And I've met dropouts as well. You know, Sagar, who was on my podcast, Momentum Podcast initially, he dropped out after second year. And if you talk to him properly, man, he would also say that maybe I should have completed. I do not know because I've not talked to him ever since that podcast. But degree, man, you should complete. Recently, I met a person who was knowing a person who dropped out of IIT Bombay. My God, that is so gutsy, man. That requires some serious balls. So dropped out of IIT Bombay, doing something on his own. That's great. But then again, I would say that if you work so hard, man, just do your thing. 2 more years, you get a degree, you walk out. Maybe I won't understand them. But that's the thing. It's difficult for me to understand the next generation. Now, I know when I say that, that's the moment when I start to sound old. And you see a face in the screen and you say, this dude looks like he's not that old. And I'm not. I mean, I'm not that young as I look. Your boy is somewhere around 28 years old. Yeah, I just turned 28 this April. So that's pretty much 28, as much as it gets. But I look young because I eat well. That's what I've been talking in regiment and all. Okay. But also mainly because I'm the kind of person who gets puberty late. So I probably got my puberty when I was in 20s. But probably that is why I do not have that much beard and all. Okay. Multiple things influencing. Not getting into that. So yeah, it is difficult to understand. See, the generation is changing so fast. It's just that I try to understand the next generation. For example, kids who got their their 12th standard done or 13th standard done. What's 13th standard? 12th standard done and 13th standard is your first year of college. And college done somewhere on when I graduated. So they did their senior secondary in 2015, 16 or so. Or there will also be a lot of kids who follow my channel who recently completed 12 or are in 12. So it's always difficult for me to understand, but I don't judge them. Like if I hear someone saying that I dropped out from IIT Bombay, I say that cool, you must be knowing something that I don't know. That's what I say. I would not say, no, I would just wait around, and because that's what people told me when I told them that I left ISRO. Because maybe their generation could not understand what I'm trying to do, and I maybe would not understand what they're trying to do. But unlike the last generation, all I can do is just not judge and maybe see how it rolls out. Now, some of my friends left job and I say, super proud of you. And then they said, I fucked up and maybe I need a job again. And they got a job again. So I don't judge. They try, I appreciate. So that's all that you should do actually. Don't judge much. Let people do what they do. The only place where you can judge is when people are just wasting too much of their time. It's like a retard waking up and just doing nothing, just checking out videos and movies and Netflix, and that's all. Eating pizza, that's it. Maybe then you can judge. But even in that situation, I would ask that person, if that person was close to me, like, hey man, are you depressed? Like, what's going on? What's going on? Why aren't you taking things seriously? So don't judge too fast. That's what I've learned over time. Okay. All right. This is another thing that I've heard Gaurav talking about. See, Gaurav, when Gaurav speaks, I listen, man. He's one of the very few people who have talked sense in front of me. He talked about few things that really made sense, and he said the same thing. Like, people judge too fast. Why are you judging? Let people do whatever the hell they want to do. If it is not good for them, they are going to find out over time. And if they are not going to find out over time, maybe you were wrong. It's not that what he said, but he said something along the line. Okay. That is why I'm thinking of getting him back on the podcast as soon as possible. And podcast helps me a lot. I've talked to so many people who are so smart, and I've learned so much. Like Jaspal sir taught me a lot. And all these podcasts, before the podcast starts and after the podcast ends, I will always spend time with them, like talk to them. That is how I do the podcast. So that podcast is supernatural. Costa, who was recently over here, talked to me for more than an hour before the podcast started, and talked to me probably more than an hour. No, not more than an hour, because I was having a meeting. So yeah, he stayed over here for 4 hours. The podcast was only 2 hours long. So you do the maths. So I talked to them. Kuldeep also in a similar manner. Like, whoever does the podcast with me, I talk to them, and whenever I talk to them, I learn a lot. So there's a basic criteria of being on a podcast. Some of you guys say that when I get a rank in gate examination, I'm going to be in your podcast. When I will be successful, I'll be in your podcast. Man, I do not look for trophies to get you on a podcast. I look for accomplishments though. Like, oh my God, these trophies and accomplishments are not different at all. But I look for success. Like, what are you talking about? You should have some experience in that. And also you should have done something in your life worth a while. Like, I'm not saying that you should have cracked an examination or gotten a government job or something like that, or you should be a topper, but your life should be good. Like, if you're living a good life, you qualify. That's it. So yeah, so a lot of, like I said, college dropouts also. Gagan, who was over here, I was recently talking to him. Gagan is taking it full on towards MMA, man. He was recently in Amsterdam fighting. Today only I talked to him. He is going again, and when he'll be back, probably you'll get to know what he's trying to do right now. Okay, that was the thing. Gagan suggested a person who is very senior when it comes to organizing MMA events in India. And today we were supposed to have a podcast, but he was super busy and also stuck in Bangalore traffic. Actually, I'll take this moment to respond to him because I've gotten a message. We are going to cut it for 2 minutes or so. All right, we are back. So for the last 20 minutes, I've been just talking about stuff, man. I haven't even gotten into the topic. There are like at least 10 questions that I have to discuss, which were good in the comment section, and I'm going to discuss them. Don't worry. So yeah, so what's going on currently? So, I've been running podcast is big. I'm taking it very seriously. All the 3 podcasts, Spacecast, Chalk and Fire, and Momentum podcast, very seriously. And this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to continue on doing podcasts. This is not the only thing that I want to do, but definitely whatever I am doing, I want to continue on doing it. Today only, like when the guest said that maybe we are not going to make it today, I said that okay, so then maybe I'm going to relax. And then I thought that you better not, because you have got it so easy. So I want to just, how do you say it, admit that my life is super easy. Now, at any point, nobody is going to do this. Nobody is going to say, you are bragging, because you can leave it anytime. I'm just sharing it for those people who want to know. Okay. So currently I'm doing great financially. And the biggest thing that I have right now is that I have to work very less for huge amount of pay. That is the point that I've reached. So if you look at it, what is the amount of time that I have to work for the majority of the pay that I'm getting right now, or the income that I'm having, it would be close to 2 hours a day. And the income is kind of, you can think about it, 5 to 6 times of what a job would pay. Okay. So I do not think about this in a way that, okay, wait, hold on. A call important. Okay, sorry about that, but it's the guest of the podcast. So I have to take care of my guests a lot. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, so I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. But the point where I was getting at is that I'm having a lot of freedom. Okay, so what I've got is crazy good. And I do not think that it was possible at any time in the past. Like if YouTube was not here or internet was not so popping, then it would not have been possible at all. So I'm absolutely fortunate. There's no doubt in that. It's just that I utilized the opportunities, took the correct moves in the correct time, and built my career in a way that I do not have a boss to answer to, which is a big deal. It's almost like, it's almost like being a CEO in your 20s. It's kind of similar. Like you do whatever you want. Like even in being a CEO, it's always you are having employees that you have to take care of. Like I have people who work for me, but also I do not have to worry much about them because I keep people in freelance basis. So if their work is good, if they don't, then they are not working with me anymore. So I do not have to worry about them. And most of my work can be controlled by me, which is super fortunate. And I'm being invited in few of the colleges, and also I just can get paid for speaking, which is another just super lucky thing to have. Now, a lot of people just get into YouTube without ever having a job before, which is few of the kind of a lot of the big YouTubers that you see, which is something that is not giving them a proper perspective, because unless you have a job, you do not understand how good it is. So I had a job, right? And I had to work more than somewhere around 9 to 12 hours, sometimes even 12 hours if you do not believe it. Like I have worked for 12 to 14 hours also in the same day for the same amount of pay, no overpay, nothing like that. So there I understand like what it is like to devote that 8 hours of your day towards your work, and that work goes to an organization. But number one, all the work goes towards me, and it is accumulating over time, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So I understand that this is a fortunate position to be, and that is why I cannot slack off. Like the moment when I can just lie around and do nothing, that's the moment I think that you are taking things for granted, and you are not utilizing the opportunity or the freedom that you have been given. So in that way, I am bounded by my own conscience. But I have to say one thing, more than anything else, you guys motivate me a lot, because you guys are facing the problems that I faced. And by talking to you guys, going to the comment section, your personal messages, or mainly the phone calls that I take through Torq consultancy, that reminds me like this was how bad the situation was. Sorry, extremely sorry to say that, but a lot of you guys will agree that pretty much situation sucks when you are trying to get a good job, or you have just graduated, or you are in a non-IITian college. So a lot of bad situation happens to you guys in your early 20s, and I've been through all of those. But in those situations, you are forced to work. I've said this before, when a man is pushed to the corner, whoa, I forgot my own quote, but what was it? I'm not going to leave this without saying that. Yeah, man is at its best when he's put to his worst. So I've said this before also. It's pretty enlightening. This is something that I discovered when I was at my worst. So when you are in a bad situation, you're forced to do your best because that is the only way out. Some people just go in the route of depression, not blaming depression at all. But when that depression converts into consumption of products, stuff like alcohol and all, or sometimes gets worse and gets into drugs and all, and you're just kind of trying to hide yourself from that bad situation, that's where it becomes problematic, and it's on the other side of the spectrum. But when a person utilizes the time that that person has gotten and does the best that he or she can do, that's where you really find out your true potential. So those situations, I don't even think is possible for me. I was literally in a situation where I was not going to have any job, and I'm not going to have any money, and I'm going to be on the streets. And I had even talked to my friend that, man, I think that I'm going to need to stay with you for a couple of months or so until I get my feedback. So I have been in those situations. So I understand that it can get that bad, but now I know that that situation is very less probable for me. It's not going to get that bad for me because I have created a situation where I have career in multiple fields. So I'm always going to get some place or the other. But I know that it is that bad for a lot of you guys, or at least that's what I have seen in the comment section or through talking to a lot of you guys. So it reminds me, and a huge motivation for me is my past. I think a lot of you guys who have, let us say, gotten a job or has established a good position for you, maybe some of you guys got an MTech or doing PhD, or has gotten some mid-level job, or even if you're doing great, fantastic, or you're following your passion, I think you should still always remind yourself of that past. Like, what made you good and what was it like in the worst situation of your life? I think that is never to be forgotten. And I think that is what happens to a lot of people. Like I said in the beginning, those people who lose contact with the crowd, those people who lose contact with their audience. Like I said, writer and comedians and film producers and all these artists who lose contact to the audience for whom they are creating the art. I think this is what happens over time, that they forget where they came from. And I think that is the destroyer of all the talent within you. Okay, now this is more than sufficient, I think, to give you an idea of where I am currently in my life. But I work hard, man. I owe it to you guys. I owe it to myself to work extremely hard. And I'm not kidding over here. Like, you must have gotten through those regiment videos and all. You should know that that is what I do. When I say that please make to-do lists and that is going to help you to improve in your life, I make to-do list. When I tell you to work out, I work out regularly. When I tell you to eat healthy, I eat healthy. Otherwise, I'm not going to just sell hollow words just because it is good to hear or good to listen to. And also, more importantly, most of my words are not that good to listen to because they are not hollow. They are true, and true things are difficult and difficult to swallow. So if you just tell people like how to make money in 10 days or how to convert your money into 5 times, people are just going to want to watch that. But then again, that's hollow. That is something that just brings a lot of attention but teaches none of them anything. So I just do stuff. For example, day before yesterday, I worked on a video straight up for 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So how much is that? Everything minus 4 hours. 20 hours. That's nuts. The video that you have seen recently, that is what video? What video did I made last? Diet video. It is a 17-minute video and so detailed edited. Have you seen the editing? I do all the editing myself because I cannot rely on anyone to portray the ideas better than what I really want to be portrayed, because it's my idea. I give these clips and all and shorts and reels of just recreating the content to editors, and that's all that I do. But the original content, I make it myself, because that is how it all started. I started by creating content on my own. So if I start leaving it now, then who's to say that I'm not going to face the fall? Okay. All right. So what was I saying? So yeah, continuously 2 o'clock, I sat down, and that too after recording it for an hour. So at just 1 hour on that. And then I worked on it till 10:30 in the morning. That's when it got published. So I just had set that it is going to go out at 10:30 in the morning, and I need to do anything to make that happen. And after that, after sharing and all, I went to sleep somewhere around 11:30. And then I woke up at 3 o'clock. And then that night again, I went to sleep at 11 o'clock or so, using the waking up early technique that I've talked as well. So that's how it goes. It is difficult, but I love it. So whenever I want to do it, and also like it would have been easy for me to just half-ass and just produce and share the video. It was a sponsored video. I already got the money. So it would have been easy for me. But then again, I cannot accept that. I cannot accept it to be anything less than perfect. And if I get some creative idea, even if a single text transition takes me an hour, I'm going to do it. And a lot of you guys did not even notice it. For example, somewhere close to end of the video where it is not necessary at all, you do creative stuff at the beginning. Very few people reach the end of the video. You see there's an olive oil video, and over that you are going to see a text that is almost seeming like it is a paint on the water because it is moving along with water. And that is at the end of the video, and that is like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I got this idea and I'm going to put it in that video, and boy, I'm going to put it. Doesn't matter if I have not slept for 3 days. And I did it, and you're going to see it. You're not going to find imperfection because I love doing it, and it's going to be perfect when it comes out. It is an art. Does not matter if 2 people watches it or 10. Whoever is going to watch it, they're going to love it. Okay. All right. And even if it does not work with you, you do not love it, well, it's just not the art for you. Okay. Now, coming to some of the questions that I've gotten over the past couple of weeks, and few of them are 2 months old because I got it in a community post where I said that bring your questions, and some were answered in the last solo podcast and some are going to be answered in this one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with it. First question. Yeah, let me have some water before. Okay, here's a question by Shalom Schwang. All right. What would you suggest after final year? One should make a drop a year and prepare for GATE examination, or should work on it in a company for 1 to 2 years and later make a drop and prepare for GATE? What do you think are drawback of attending campus placements? Okay, we are going to discuss this. Okay, second question, same person. You always suggest that students who attend campus placement, the English is a little bit twisted. If you are seeing it, you are going to understand. That is why I'm trying to make it properly. Even though if I got a job in campus, but my dream is to crack GATE and get into a PSU, what should I need to do in that case? Really got confused in the question. See, I'm going to answer this properly. Nobody is going to get butthurt because of this, because you are only going to get truth. You don't want it, you don't like it, you just walk away. Simple as that. Now, first of all, I want to address this part. Like, it is my dream to crack GATE examination and get into a PSU. Akash Tyagi sir, who has been on this podcast multiple times, used to say this in his classes. Like, when did you dream about getting into a PSU? Like, did you really dream about it? That's what you think? Like, yeah, Ashish, that's what I think. I think about getting into ONGC all the time. All right. But did you think something like this? Like, I want to work day and night to get petroleum crude oil outside. I'm going to work in rig. Rigs are fantastic. And I'm going to work over there for 14 days in a month and then I'm going to have a break of 14 days. Excited to get back to the rig for the next 14 days. Did you ever think like that? Akash Tyagi said it in a different manner, said it in Hindi. But yeah, he said like, tel nikalunga. All right. So did you ever think about that? Like when I dreamt of becoming an ISRO scientist, I was thinking like, I want to touch the rocket components. I want to see it happen. I want to see the launch. I want to know what really makes it happen, what gives it that much amount of velocity and thrust. I wanted to know these things. That is why I was never interested in PSU. Not demeaning PSUs, guys. PSUs are amazing. And I've had a lot of ex-PSU officers or current ones talking about what goes on over there. A lot of technical stuff goes. But there are a lot of technical stuff, huge amount of technical stuff when it comes to extracting oil. And a lot of my friends are working over there and talk about it day and night. ONGC job actually in the maintenance department at least is humongously technical. Maintenance in any kind of job is very technical. And you see almost every different kind of components like generator and gears and pumps and all turbines. You're going to see it all from your own bare hands. A lot of it you're going to be fixing with your own hands as well. But is that what you dreamt about when you dreamt about cracking gate? Or let me guess, did you dream about this? That if I get a top rank in gate examination, I'm going to be called in a lot of interviews and the girls who never talk to me may start talking to me. Not saying it in a gender unequal manner. For girls it might be different. Okay. Or did you think about I'm going to get a job where I have to work very less and I'll be paid 90,000 a month and my life will be awesome. I'm going to go for trips. That is not what you dream about. That is what you want to do in a vacation. Almost everyone wants to do that. Okay. Your dream has to be what you want to do in your life. That is your dream. And if your dream is just, I want to make a lot of money, yeah, that can be a dream as well. And like I said, not judging. If that is your dream, then yeah, you can go for it. But that is a dream that I do not understand. So I'm not the best person to give you an answer over there. You might find someone else for that. Maybe a millionaire guru would be a good person to give you an answer over there. Because money as the only target, I never understood it. But if you're not that, then you need to start thinking about what kind of life you want instead of thinking which job you want. For example, a lot of people has also said, Ashish, I'm so interested in space science and engineering. ISRO has not been releasing its vacancies, notifications. How am I supposed to pursue my passion? Well, since when did ISRO become the only job in this world to give you a job or work experience in space science and engineering? Have you heard of Skyroot? Have you heard of Agnikul? There's so many new space organizations popping up. And if nothing, you can do a master's in that field. You can do a master's in aerospace engineering. You can go for PhD. You can go abroad. There are so many things that you can do. ISRO is not the only answer. So you have to think about it like that. Like, what do I do to turn my life into the kind of life that I want, in which I do from day to night the things that I want to do or the things that I enjoy doing? That is a dream, but that's not his actual question. The actual question over here is that, number one, should I sit for campus placements, or what are the benefits of not sitting in campus placements? Because the question is like drawbacks of not attending campus placements. See, drawback of not attending campus placement is that it is one of the very few opportunities that you just missed out. So there are very less number of cases in which campus placement should be avoided. Number one, if the job is paying very less, like 12 to 15,000 for somewhere around 8 to 10 or 12 hours of work every day, it is a very unrecognized company. And the other case is that you have to pay a bond. Trust me, if you do not believe it, it is really happening. Companies are charging money to get a job. Like before you get a job, you have to pay money. Bond had a different meaning. Like if you leave the job before you get your clearance, you are going to pay some amount of money. That makes sense because the company has invested this amount of money into you and now it wants it back because you are not going to work over there with the training that you have got. But if you have to pay, it is like pay to get a job, right? So that your parents are having a good time telling it to you, to your neighbors. So that makes zero sense. Never do that. No, in that case, you don't sit for campus placements. But in any other case, like I've seen even people leaving recognized companies like Wipro, Capgemini, Intel and all, or what was that, Infosys. Intel is, I think, a big company for most of the freshers, but Infosys and all, they're just missing it out, not sitting for the campus. Why? I want to go and work for a core company. I cannot work for an IT company. I'm a mechanical engineer. Good, you're a mechanical engineer who is unemployed. What are you going to do about that? So I trust me when I say this. I swear on this mic over which I've made over 1,000 hours of video that I sat for all the campus placements that I could sit for. I was rejected in 5 different campus placements, but I sat for another, then another, and meanwhile preparing for GATE 2016 as well. Why did I do that? Because I had to. I had no other options. And if I had gotten any job, I would have joined that job and continued my GATE preparation. And that, my friends, is 2016, when the number of vacancies is at peak. So if you ask me, obviously I'm going to say that sit for campus placements, because that's what you did your engineering in. And this is the one opportunity where you get your money back, the money that you have given to your college. Okay, you get something out of it. But see, then again, I understand completely. I recently met a guy who is a topper in GATE examination and says that he's not going to join any PSU, any masters and all. I said, see man, and he says that I'm going to start teaching in coaching institutes. I said that, okay, what I know right now is that I do not understand what you want to do. Okay. If I were you, I would not have done that. I would have gotten the experience. I would have utilized whatever GATE can give me with the rank that I've scored. And by the way, I'm talking about a double-digit ranker in mechanical stream. So I said that, okay, I'm just going to share my ideas with you and you do whatever you want. In a similar manner, I'm just sharing my ideas. You think if it makes sense, then good. If it does not, then obviously you're going to do whatever you want. But this is my suggestion. Now, why is this my suggestion? Because you need to start your career, man. You're an engineer and the first step is important. It is important to take the first step. First step might not be the one that you like the most. Very lucky people will get their first step into the dream job that they want. For example, I would have loved to have the first step in Indian Space Research Organization in 2016. Would have loved to do it. And was I capable enough to get it? Yeah. But did I get it? No. Why not? Because there's a whole screening system in between. You have to master that first to get selected, because you're not the only one who wants that. So I spent 2 years doing that. And my first step was to start preparing in Delhi. Second step maybe was to get into BARC. And then the third step I finally got over there. And that took me over 2 years. So you will have to think about these things. After your graduation, if it is possible at all, don't be reliant on your parents, man. A lot of kids in this country blame a lot that my parents are controlling my life so much. Like they are controlling the kind of job I should have. And also they are controlling my life partner. They are setting my marriage. And then they are also controlling when I should have a kid. And then they are controlling my kid's life. You gave them the control, man. You gave them the control by always demanding from them. They are taking care of you when you're 23, 24, and over time, obviously, if you give that much control, they are going to utilize that control. Now, I'm not demeaning anyone, but you cannot say only one side that my parents are controlling. They are supporting you also. After you have graduated, it's already a big deal that they are supporting your complete graduation. You might not be knowing, but a lot of kids have to support their own graduation. Forget about foreign countries. I had one guy in my college who was 26 years old and he enrolled himself in graduation because he finally had the money to do graduation. He was only diploma till that point. And now he had saved money and now he enrolled himself into engineering. So you cannot be reliant if you have any other option. See, for example, I did not go to Delhi unless I did not have any other option. I was getting one job, which was a contract basis job. And that was going to pay me 12,000, 13,000 rupees for working for around 10 to 12 hours. That I left. Now that is also questionable. And that was not any IT job or anything. It was a proper core computer aided designing, something in which I was proficient in. And I would love to make a career in that. But that is again a gamble. like whether you make a decision this side or that side. That is decision making. How do you make a decision? And ultimately you have to make your own decisions. Like I said, I'm sharing my experiences. So in that point, I thought that if I get this job, I'm definitely not going to be able to get to prepare for gate examination. And the contract was of 2 years. So what after 2 years? Then again, you're in the market, right? And payment was also not something that I was going to be able to save. It was only sufficient for me to get by, like month end to month end. So that's when I made a decision. And then I also, even after failing in GATE 2017, I kept on working for job. I want to appear in every job. I appeared in ISRO, I appeared in CIL, I appeared in this, BARC, ISRO. So I wanted ISRO. Why did I appear in other jobs as well? Let us say I was not selected in BARC. I was obviously not selected in ISRO. I would have joined CIL, even if I would have hated coal fields. But it is a job. I'm going to at least be able to support my own preparation later. So that is the reason why I would say that if you get a decent job, take it. It's not only because it is difficult to get a job. It's kind of actually easy to get a job these days, because in the private domain, there are so many websites developing which are going to just connect you with companies. And you can go over there, build a good LinkedIn profile, reach out to HRs. It's same for government jobs. It's not changed, but you can get a job. But if you are getting a job and still you're saying that I want to prepare full time for GATE examination, you just want an easy life, okay? You want an easier time to prepare for GATE examination. And the main reason why I would be saying all of this is because there's absolutely no certainty for GATE examination. A lot of times these exam preparation do get stretched for more than a year. If you look at a topper interview who cracked it, a topper who has cracked it in 6 months or so, you are seeing a very small part or tip of an iceberg. Majority of the people don't make it in that small amount of time. And this is the reality. On the contrary, everybody who tries for it, all of them just want to crack it in 6 months. And that should be the goal. Obviously, when I started for 2016, that was my goal. I'm going to crack it in first attempt. Next time, 2017, I'm going to crack it in the next 6 months. Next 2018, I'm going to do it, ISRO. And third time I actually did it. But that is always the goal, but that is not something that always happens. So I always think of it like this. If I'm in a classroom of 100 people who are just starting to prepare for GATE examination, and I ask them a question, how many of you guys believe that you are going to crack this examination in the next 6 months? And granted that all of them are very serious, I'm going to see 90% of the hands raising, because that is why they are here. If anybody over there believed 100% that it will take 3 years for me to crack this examination, they wouldn't enroll. Why would they sign up? Most people sign up because they think that it is the quickest way for me to ascertain my position. Very fast, good amount of income, stable, well-respected job. That's why they all started. So all of them are going to raise their hand. Now, 6 months later, same set of people, and I then ask the same different question to the same people, how many of you guys made it? And there will be the whole dynamics will be reversed. 10% of people may be raising hands if all of them were very serious and all of them worked extremely hard. So this is how it works, expectation versus reality. So you have to think about the reality as well. Never ever think like that. It's not going to happen to me. You are not prince of this world. It can happen to anyone. That day might go wrong. It has happened to a lot of people that they got sick just before examination. So what are you going to do then? The next examination? Yeah, you do. That is why I'm saying it gets stressed out. It's not like you're going to work hard and you're never going to make it. Anyone can make it. That is a good thing about this examination. Anybody can make it. This examination does not care about your talents or your past achievements at all. I've seen so many toppers just lying around not being able to perform well in this examination. That's the good part about this examination. It's ruthless and it does not discriminate in that sense. It does not discriminate if you're an IITian or an NITian or from a just private college. It does not care. In that sense, you have a level field. But then again, you have to think about that as well, that what if it does not work out? And that's what a pragmatic, logical person does. You have to think about both sides. So if it is possible for you, like you have a family business and all, or maybe you have a job just on a halt, waiting for you, go ahead, no problem. But if you don't, which most of the people over here won't, then it does not make sense for me for you to just not even try for it. Okay, so you have to think about things in this manner. Kind of explained it as well as I could have. If you have further questions, please let me know down in the comment section. Once again, these are my opinions based on my experience, and I would love to hear your side as well. And let me know down in the comment section. I'll take a sip of water because I've been screaming too much for the past 20 minutes. All right, we are back over here. Got chance to change the battery as well, so we don't really have a time limitation over here, just in case the mood demands for it to keep on going. Now, the second question over here should be addressed, that should I take a year drop, or yeah, here it goes, or should I work for 1 to 2 years and take a year drop? That would be better. But see, the concept of year drop is dropping over time. And now people are finding ways to just prepare for competitive examinations simultaneously. And the big reason for that is the boom of online coaching. And because of that, now people can prepare from any place. The best quality of available material is there for anyone, and you can access it. For example, back there in 2014, I was stuck in Sikkim, and best coaching was just thousands of kilometers away, so it was just not possible for me to get that. But now people can get that, and thus people are preparing along with their college, with their MTech, with their PhDs, with their jobs. So yeah, if you have nothing, then you can take a drop. That would be great. Otherwise, obviously, it is your final decision. And there was one more thing, that take a year drop. Yeah, year drop after your college also will be only justified according to me if you do not have any other options. But then again, see, there are a lot of examples, and it would be difficult to just share, or it would be unfair to just share my side of the story. I'll share a very good story which makes a lot of sense to you in this situation. So Sushant Jha, my friend. I was almost going to say Sushant Singh Rajput. So Sushant Kumar Jha, my friend, who secured an All India rank of 16 in Engineering Services examination 2017, got a campus placement in Capgemini in my campus placement year 2016. But he did not join that company. He was one of the very few, I think the only one, who just let the campus placement go, and he left and came to Delhi. I was surprised as well, because he was initially going to join it, and then it turned out good for him. He got the job that he wanted. So there are examples everywhere, but then again, you have to take care that those were different times. He's in Indian Railways, and currently, if you do not know, Indian Railways is not even a part of engineering services, so you have to take care of that. Different times. You cannot just copy and paste the same thing. A man never crosses the same river twice, because it's not the same river, it's not the same man. It was a wise set of words by Bruce Lee. I recently found out that it was said by Bruce Lee. It was written in a book by Shannon Lee, his daughter, and the book was that part was forwarded to me on Instagram by a follower. Shout out to him. Now the next one, how to deal with the feeling when you feel like everything is going worse day by day. This one has gotten 8 likes, but it was still hidden down in the comment section. I went through each and every one of them, at least in this community post. I scraped it out. I think that the line is very simple, and it's a short, small comment. But I think that this is something that almost everyone feels. Let me know down in the comment section if you feel it as well. Hashtag I feel it as well. Okay. Now, yeah, I have felt it as well. Like things are not working out and you are in a downward spiral. Okay. And the best way to do a litmus test on it is that how was your life a year ago? And is your life worse now? And the answer is yes, then yes. For example, I was in college topper, things are good, people know me, and 1 year later, I'm unemployed. And now I'm just a scumbag who did not get a job and a failure and a loser. That's what the world is saying. I was not actually, but okay. So you look at these medals and trophies and the way the worlds attest you, most likely you are going to be depressed. Okay. So it depends in what way you are thinking that everything is going worse day by day. Okay, it is, like I said, an open abstract question, so it can have 1,000 meanings. I'm only going to explain the one that I will be able to perceive over here. See, if things are getting worse and worse, and your effort is also getting worse and worse, then it is absolutely your fault. Now, there's another case. Things are getting worse and worse, and you are working just as hard as you were, but things are getting worse and worse. Then that is just how things are designed. Things are going to get worse before it gets better. And that's where the oldest quote comes from. It is the darkest before the dawn, right? Now, I don't, dusk and dawn, I always get confused, but it will be the brightest just before. Sorry, it will be the darkest just before sunrise. I messed that up so bad. Okay, so it will be the darkest just before the sunrise. That quote has a lot of meaning. A lot of these simplistic, redundant, repeated quotes, which has just kind of lost its value and now has become cliche, actually are very true. They are so true that you can see it everywhere, but they are so repeated that you're, nah, not that again. But yeah, that is what I had seen just before cracking ISRO. Like, things are so dark, so dark, so dark. Everything is just falling apart, and everything that you put your hand on is just not working. Now, I was once talking to a friend of mine somewhere around June 2017. And I was in BARC training school, and I was so depressed, man. I still remember the moment. There was a pond in Kalpakkam near our whole hostel. And I used to go over there and sit every now and then. I had no friends over there because I had just isolated myself just because of preparing for competitive examination. No one else was doing it. So that by design makes you isolated. And plus on top of that, you just don't have time for all that. So I had some of these old friends who spent time with me in Delhi. I thought that they would understand better. A lot of them were still preparing for the second year drop. And I used to talk to them. And there was this one pond at the night. I used to go over there. And I still remember these few words that came out of my mouth that night. Man, brother, in the last 1 year, whatever I have put my hands on, I failed at that. Whatever. It might be relationship, it might be examinations that I gave, it might be any financial venture, anything that I tried. And this was after cracking BARC interview. But that is clearly showing you like your life is getting worse and worse. And there was one point when I am the one of the just 35 who got selected for the scientific officer post for training in Department of Atomic Energy, BARC, that year. And then again, just 7 months later, you are the last of the lot, and it's definitely a bad situation, and you know that your life is not getting any better. So yeah, it was getting bad, worse, darker, and now all of a sudden, All India rank 4 in Indian Space Research Organization, and now it is better again. So that is how it works when you are working for something extremely difficult. If it is too difficult, then you'll have to work in the undergrounds, and you'll have to work for it for a long time. And for that, it will have to accumulate, and the world will not see it. And the moment it is sufficient, because these things work in 0 and 1, until and unless it is sufficient, it is 0. And the moment it gets sufficient, it's 1. When it's 0, the world will not see it. When 1, everyone will recognize you. But meanwhile, it is not really just in between 0 and 1. It is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.9, 1. That's how it really works. But that's what you can see. The world will only be able to see 0 and 1. This is how it works. Maybe it's a 4th dimension that others cannot see, but you'll be, oh my God, people who are working very hard are able to see 4th dimension. Little bit scientific. Okay, coming back to the point. So how is it getting worse? You'll have to answer that question. If you are not working as hard and your hard work is getting worse and worse, or your efforts are getting worse and worse, then it's your fault. Nobody can help you out of that. But what if you are working just as much, if not more, and still things are getting worse and worse? Then that is by design. That is how it is supposed to work. The day, or again, I'm going to mess it up, so I'm not going to repeat it, gets darkest before the sunrise. New quote, because it is easier to remember. Dusk and dawn, man. Nobody understood which one is which. So yeah, that's what I want to say. Don't lose hope. Understand that 0.1, 0.2, and 0.3. Okay. That's pretty much about it. I had so many more questions. I think that I only answered 2 of them, because I answer them in such detail. But there are other questions as well, like I'm just going to put them on screen one by one. This is something related to networking. I'm going to talk about it next time. Again, something related to college. You can see the rest of them. These are the ones that I wanted to discuss today. But then again, these solo podcasts are going to keep on coming. The support that I'm getting is outstanding. You guys are fantastic. You guys are lovely. Thank you for the support. I cherish whatever you give me, and I do not take it for granted. I work hard. So today it is Saturday night, and the video is going to come out Sunday 10:30 without fail. All right, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that happen. This podcast is going to come out on time. For that, doesn't matter how much I have to work, and that is because I need to return exactly what you guys are giving it to me, and for that I'll work hard. There's absolutely no doubt, and so should you. If you get some good advice out of this podcast, utilize that. There are a lot of viewers, very few doers. Don't be a viewer, or don't just be a viewer. Be a doer as well. That's a good one. Maybe this is how I'm going to end my videos from now on. Okay guys, again, super grateful for your support. Support it by sharing it, hitting the like button, or do the goodies, man. If you're on audio platform, just do the goodies. Rate the podcast and all, and just send it to your mother or your brother, whoever you can, whoever you think can be helped by it. And that's about it. See you next time. Till then, bye.